Well, good evening, everybody. How are we tonight? Hopefully everybody's had a great day. Happy Tuesday. We are back, and we're going to be doing some different stuff tonight. Yesterday was a thing, I guess would be the best way to put it. It was a thing. I'm not sure what it was that I actually played, but I played a thing. And it wasn't that it was bad, but okay. Yeah. Honestly, that's about the best way I can describe what it was that was played. It was just one of those things, right? Even Bloop, who originally recommended it, and I know why he recommended it, right? It wasn't like with bad intentions or anything like that. But then it just went into this weird direction, and we were all like, what? So maybe the next DLC is one that maybe it's one I pass on. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's something I play off stream. Because, oh boy, it was a thing. But before we get into anything, Aylin, Fafo, how you two doing? How are the things? Yeah, yesterday was so weird. It was so weird. Doing as well as you can. I hear you. I didn't have a nice day. My old game Just Cause 2, and somehow it didn't run on my PC. Where did you buy it? Did you buy it on Steam? GOG. Really? That's weird. That's really weird. Huh. That's really, really weird. Wow. Interesting. I don't know what to tell you about that one. Wow. Well, we got a little bit of news. Hopefully it'll wake you guys up a little bit. And then we're going to do some Pacific Drive, which I've heard good things about. But first, 007 First Light will do something no Bond game has done before. Slow down. Players might be surprised at how much they enjoy those quiet experiences. Okay? Being Bond is something that hasn't been explored before in video games. Interrogating 007 First Light's Martin Emborg and Andreas Krogh on how the Hitman developer is tackling the world's most iconic spy. 007 First Light has James Bond in good hands when Hitman developer IO Interactive announced in 2020 that it was working on a game based on the British super spy. It already felt like the kind of fan wish fulfillment of the kind where you ask, if you could get any developer to make a game based on any franchise, what would it be? Which is fair. What do they mean by slow down? Probably give you time to actually, like, experience things as Bond. So, for instance, if you watch any of the old James Bond movies, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Never Say Never Again, even if you watch Roger Moore's James Bond, and you watch any of his movies, hell, even if you watch Timothy Dalton, right? He was only in 2 movies as James Bond, and even if you watch GoldenEye, right? All of those have one thing in common, which is that James Bond actually is a spy in those movies. He actually gets to do spy things. He actually gets to, like, uncover what's going on and steal the microfilm or listen in on a conversation or whatever without 300 million people trying to shoot at him and blow shit up the entirety of the movie. So what would I say in terms of what they're saying? I'd say that's probably what they mean by slow down. Because As much as we all love GoldenEye for the N64, it's just nonstop shooting. Tomorrow Never Dies was nonstop shooting. Every James Bond game ever has been nothing but nonstop shooting. And explosions. And bigger explosions. And set pieces falling apart and exploding. And then more gunfire as you're skiing down a mountain. And then you hang glide off the end of it, going 300 miles an hour, so that you can land inside a fucking jet-powered jet ski and traverse across the ocean while being shot at, so that you can ramp a bridge somehow and then jump off the jet ski into your car to drive 100 miles an hour to keep getting shot at. Like, that's basically what James Bond games are. I heard you like explosions? Yeah. For IO Interactive, it's been much the same, as the developers' staff are fans of Bond 2, which is already blended into their work on Hitman. There's always been a lot of love for James Bond at IO. Just look at every first Hitman game from 2000, where you'll find a lot of winks and nods in Bond's direction, says First Light Cinematics and narrative director Martin Emborg. I wasn't at IO back then, but when I look at the henchmen Necros from the Living Daylights, for example, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to see Agent 47 at work. Even Hitman World of Assassination, the recent live service-connected trilogy of adventures, has plenty of huge sweeping levels that nod to James Bond's missions. A level like Sapienza actually has a villain crafting a deadly virus in an underground lair. It can't really get more close to a spy movie scenario than that, says game director Andreas Krog. Those types of levels definitely gave us the confidence and belief that our level stories and gameplay challenges could work in a Bond game. Fair enough. What's going on, Bleach? How you doing? Still, though espionage is much a part of Agent 47's toolkit in Hitman is Murder, making a James Bond game means 007 First Light is going to have its own vibe that stands apart from the studio's prior work. While infiltration is an aspect of the Bond experience that's rarely been explored in games, the spy would feel incomplete without car chases, action set pieces, and an amount of open combat blasting his arsenal of guns and tricky gadgets. And this is what I was saying before, right? You have GoldenEye, you have Tomorrow Never Dies, you have The World Is Not Enough, you have, I think there was like a GoldenEye remake, but it was done from like another 00 agent's perspective. And then you have like a bunch of other James Bond video games that were never really a movie, but everybody loves James Bond, so you had the Laser Watch. And then you had the cars, and then you had the missile launchers on the cars, and you had the miniguns, and you had the rocket launchers, and you had people firing rocket launchers and AK-47s at James Bond. And then James Bond would have to sit there and chase somebody across buildings as the buildings are crumbling, and then have a fist fight with them while the building is crumbling around them, and then fall to the ground so that he could run, because now there are more guys shooting at him with AK-47s so that he could get into a car and have a 200-mile-an-hour car chase through fucking Italy. Like, you see what I mean? That's what James Bond video games typically are. And I'm gonna be honest, most of them suck. Because there's no real story. It's just, you go in, you blow shit up, and or kill people, and or shoot people, and or stab people, and or beat the shit out of people, and or usually destroy something big and expensive, and or get into some sort of vehicle chase where more shit blows up and is shot at. And then they fill in the rest of the story for you. Which actually means taking a few cues from the divisive Hitman Absolution when crafting the flow of Bond action. The reason for this approach is that the Bond experience is much more focused on narrative and very often on a ticking clock of some kind. So leaving the player to their own devices in a World of Assassination style sandbox doesn't cater to the needs of an action-adventure game like 007 First Light, says Emborg. Social stealth and infiltration are huge components of the game, but it simply needs that extra narrative focus that Absolution had. A rollicking spy thriller needs a strong narrative, after all, and without that, you're not going to feel like James Bond. From the very beginning, we wanted to put the story more center stage in First Light than we did in Hitman. To do that, we need a different format. A format that lets us tell our more authored story, but still allows us to use our expertise in more open-ended gameplay challenges. That is where the comparison with Absolution comes in. It has this structure of narrowing in to tell a story more linearly and then opening up in larger locations to allow for more freeform, open-ended gameplay with both stealth and combat in mind. And Borg acknowledges James Bond's lengthy service, the hero has been around for over 60 years, and how post No Time to Die, we're in a new era for 007. The ones that are the closest to what we will what we're doing will naturally be the Craig era, simply because those are the latest ones, he says. But we've crafted our characters and this world of espionage with a lot of love for all those eras. Which, okay, fair. Totally fair. I can see it being, in terms of fighting, I can see it definitely being a little bit more savage just because that's what everybody's used to. Sure. Part of putting the studio's own stamp on First Light comes down to the game design, as you'd expect from the creators such a systems-driven series like Hitman. Plenty of James Bond games have come and gone, many charming us, many of them shooters. Few have tackled the complete fantasy of becoming James Bond, but that's exactly what First Light is designed to do. We talk about 360 degrees because we've endeavored to create a game that includes all the aspects of the character. I hope that the social infiltration experience will make players feel truly like Bond, with all of his wits and charm at their fingertips, not shooting anyone, not driving a cool car, but simply being Bond. And that's something that has not really been explored before in video games. The action is great, but we hope that players might be surprised at how much they enjoy those quieter moments. Krog says the 360 degrees approach is about embracing a variety of gameplay for Bond. From stealth to combat to infiltration to driving to social interactions. Going back and forth between these combined with the fact that it is your own choice how aggressive you want to be, it'll feel a lot less like a pure shooter and more like a mix between many play styles. Cool. World of Assassination is still ongoing and designed to be massively replayable, which it is. I have to ask if this philosophy will be felt in First Light and how that may be balanced against the heavier focus on a main story and campaign for Bond. Obviously, the more linear segments, which are focused on story exposition, won't have a lot of variation, as they are supposed to deliver the same narrative outcome every time. But every time we open it up in the core gameplay areas, where you can fully choose between stealth and combat, there will be multiple distinct ways through those areas, which will open these up more for replayability. On top of that, we have a list of challenges for each of these areas to make sure you explore and experience all there is in the more open areas. Can't wait to see those challenges myself when First Light launches on May 27th for PC, PS5, Xbox, and Switch. Until then, I'm far from shaken with what we've seen so far and certainly stirred into wanting to play for myself. I think it's the right move. I mean, what do you guys think? I like it. I like the idea. I like the idea. I really, really hope that we feel like James Bond by the time it's all said and done. I think we kind of need that. Right? GoldenEye, guess what? You don't feel like James Bond. You feel like you're playing in a James Bond world, but you're not James Bond. You know what I mean? Tomorrow Never Dies. The World Is Not Enough. Any and all of the other James Bond video games that have come out since 1997. You know, you're controlling James Bond. You aren't James Bond in those. So here's to hoping. Whereas I can absolutely tell you when I play Hitman, I feel like Agent 47. Dumb shit that I do aside, and I know I do a lot of really dumb shit in those games, but dumb shit aside that I do in Hitman, I feel like Agent 47. So I'm actually really excited for this one. Maybe that's just me, though. next up, Control Resonant Review. Remedy is finally revealed the sequel to Control, and despite calling it Control 2, in financial earnings reports, it's called something else, Control Resonant. Though formally revealed during the Game Awards in December, I got an early look at the game behind virtual closed doors ahead of that premiere with creative director Michael Kasuranen, who is also co-director of the studio and the director of 2019's Control. Okay, I like it. Some will say it's not their Bond because he's been around so long and there's been so many types. I don't hear that as often, if I'm being completely honest. I really, really don't. And the reason why is because I know a lot of people didn't particularly care for Daniel Craig, but I think Daniel Craig has so far been the only one since Roger Moore and since Sean Connery to be able to blend a balance. Well, I can't say those are the only two because Timothy Dalton did that as well, but Timothy Dalton was more of your quintessential 80s spy. And I'll be honest, much as I love Pierce Brosnan, literally 3 out of the 4 James Bond movies that he did were dog shit. They just were. GoldenEye was literally the only good movie that he did as James Bond. And even he's come out and said that one of the reasons why he didn't want to play James anymore was because he was sick and tired of taking a character that he worked so hard to do and so hard to bring into the new way of doing things, and it just turned into action schlock for him. And he was so sick and tired of it. So, yeah, Daniel Craig, you know, does he look like Sean Connery? No. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think he did a lot of things that were very close to like what Sean Connery did, even if he was getting older and trying to phone it in a little bit. Roger Moore, I in all honesty, I kind of pray Roger Moore, like I kind of pray those movies go away, because most of them were really fucking campy and most of them were really stupid. And Roger Moore was already 40 fucking years way too old to be James Bond when he started. It's just, so anybody who's sitting there, well, no, my James Bond, well, take your pick, right? You had a guy who didn't want to play James Bond who ended up coming back twice to play James Bond because he ran out of money. Then you had somebody who was way too old and went really fucking campy in the 1970s, and who literally is one of the more popular James Bonds by default because he's literally the second longest running James Bond. Then you had a guy who was there for 2 movies, and he and the studio decided that James Bond wasn't really working out for him, so they parted ways. And then you had a really strong start for another one, and then it just turned into shit. And then you had another one who started off really strong, and everything looked great, but then everybody got pissy in the last movie because, oh my god, there's a female 007. You know what I mean? Like, take your pick. Which one do you want? Or you can always go with the Australian model that was so fucking terrible and so goddamn stupid that he decided that that at the last minute, even though they wanted to keep him on for more movies, under the advice of his manager, that he would probably be best off to quit playing James Bond because James Bond wasn't going to be around. You could always choose that one. You know, the guy who looked completely out of place and looked like he was probably the 5th member of the Beatles. That guy. I'm looking forward to the 007 game. People are already shitting on it, but I think it looks decent. I think it looks great. I don't know why people are shitting on it. Not a female high-tier spy. It's got nothing to do with that. It's literally got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with the fact that nobody had any idea what 007 means. Trying to figure out which one I'm talking about? George Lazenby. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And nobody had a problem with there being a high-tier spy. everybody had a problem with the fact that there was no clear and concise definition as to what 007 represented. They had no idea, because for the longest time it was never talked about. Is 007 James Bond? Are they one and the same? If the answer is yes, then you cannot put a female there, because you cannot have Jane Bond. Right? The books have nothing to do with it. The books are so far removed from the movies. You might as well be looking at two different series. So you can't even bring the books into it. There's so many things that changed between stuff that happened in the books with stuff that happened in the movies. You're comparing apples to kumquats. That's what you're doing. They hated her being 007 when 007 legit just means can murder. No, it doesn't just mean can murder. 00 is a title given to people who are given a license to kill. 7 is the numbered agent that they are. That's how it works. But it's never talked about, and it has never been talked about in movies, period. So when you see the latest 007 movie, I don't care whether it's Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, The Living Daylights, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Thunderball, Never Say Never Again, Octopussy, Goldfinger, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, and so on, you see 007. You do not see James Bond. It is 007 in the title, right? The problem is that they made 007 and James Bond synonymous with each other. So the problem becomes, well, how can you have a female 007? That's James Bond. In the most literal sense, that's how they made it. They never explained 00 is the title that they are given when they have a license to kill, and 7 is the agent number designation that they have. They never explained that, which is why there was so much pushback. If it was a Jane Bond, they would be femme fatale. That's a warp at that point. Well, it's not just that. It's just there's too many things, right? There's too many things that they focused on for so long. And again, I didn't have any problem with the one who played the replacement 007. I thought she was great. I really did. But at the same time, you have to understand why people are coming at it so hard. You have to. Right? She could be 006. Hell, she could be 005. She could be 008. Right, maybe not 008, because if you do an 8 at the end of that, it just spells boob, right? But you know what I mean, right? You could do any of those, and she could be in her own TV series, or she could have her own series of movies, right? And it could be a spin-off. She works for MI5 just like James Bond does. She works, she is just as badass just like James Bond is. She's the next 00 agent. That would have been really cool. But what pissed people off is 007 and James Bond became interchangeable and synonymous throughout movie history, that you can't just go, oh, well, we got a 007 now, but it's a woman. You see what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. Honestly, 008 female spy would be the most James Bond thing ever. I agree. I absolutely agree. I think it's fantastic. But again, they didn't want to go that route. The British are going to make a UK FBI equivalent. Doesn't make sense for that, does it? No, I mean, it really depends. It depends on exactly what they're going to do. Honestly. The reveal trailer begins with a man just sitting in a glass cage within the oldest house. the setting of Control, and the New York City-based headquarters of the Federal Bureau of Control. Soon after, we see Manhattan morph into a dizzying mix of skyscrapers and streets reminiscent of Inception or Spider-Man: No Way Home, after a quick look at bloody bodies adorning the oldest house's steps. Teasing that something has gone very wrong in the Bureau's HQ, we see Jesse Faden, the protagonist of Control, stab someone on a slab with a strange metal object. That someone is Dylan Faden, Jesse's brother, and that metal object might just be the Apparent, the shape-shifting melee weapon he'll be using as the new player-controlled protagonist. Control is a story of two supernatural siblings separated as kids, Kasuranen tells me in the virtual preview. They lived two very different lives. Dylan was taken at age 10 by a mysterious organization, and Jesse, who was 11 at the time, managed to escape. Control takes place 17 years after this event, and Jesse managed to find Dylan inside the oldest house, but it was too late. The Hiss had already taken over. Jesse, however, resisted the Hiss and became the new FBC director. She then saves Dylan from certain death and cleanses him of the Hiss. It left him in a coma, and Control ends in a quiet stalemate. The Hiss is stopped, but contained only within the oldest house. Fast forward 7 years after Control, and Jesse had mysteriously disappeared. The Hiss lockdown has fallen apart, and this corruptive supernatural force has spilled into Manhattan, turning the once vibrant city into a kaleidoscope of psychedelic nightmares. Dylan awakens from his coma, though the reveal trailer suggests or teases this might be less of a medical miracle and more of the work of otherworldly forces, and determines he must save Manhattan. To do so, he'll use the Apparent, which, similar to Jesse's service weapon, can shapeshift to match his needs, going from a dual-wielded melee weapon to a massive hammer, and presumably more. Kasuranen describes this open-ended game as distinctly not open world, and one with fast-paced traversal, warped environments, and mind-bending powers and weapons. I think our way of handling the traversal is going to be something that will stand out, and I also believe that we have a unique take on how we blend melee with forward-facing momentum and supernatural abilities, he tells me in a separate email Q&A. In this open-ended Manhattan, you can expect secrets, side stories, and more. Kasuranen says none of it is filler, and all of it is integrated into the larger world of Control and the Golden Path, stopping short of discussing any ties to the wider Remedy-verse. He adds that Control is an action-adventure game and that Resonant is an action RPG with more meaningful progression and real choices alongside distinctive builds that complement various gameplay styles. It's not a question of just entering a genre that is new to us, but discovering what the Remedy interpretation of it is, Kasuranen says. Control was a great first stepping stone, now we're ready to leap further. Cool. Her brother becomes a new director? No, that's not what it said at all. That's not even remotely what it said. Jesse's missing. We don't know where Jesse is. And we're not playing Jesse, we're playing Dylan. No one has any idea where Jesse is. That's the point. I mean, we have people called things like Pussy Galore in the series, right? But Pussy Galore is not an MI6 spy. How to Control didn't lose the rights to Alan Wake. Remedy lost the rights. And Remedy... Okay. Remedy owns the rights to Alan Wake. Remedy also owns the rights to Control. Remedy originally made Max Payne. And then Max Payne got bought from Remedy to Rockstar. So Remedy and Alan Wake are still part of the same thing. No, they didn't lose the rights to Alan Wake. Far as I know, they didn't. They even share a kick-ass band. Yeah, they do. Old Gods of Asgard. It's amazing. So this one, Control Resonant, I'm really excited for. I can't wait for it to come out. I don't know when it's happening, but oof. I've been excited for Control Resonant for a while. And I want to see where it keeps going because Presumably, we'll also be able to finally get another Alan Wake, which would be amazing. And last and not least, and then we're driving after this, Ryan Reynolds is reportedly focused on developing Deadpool 4. Deadpool 4 is reportedly in development, as Ryan Reynolds is said to be working on the sequel. Despite his many comments to the contrary, it seems Ryan Reynolds is indeed hard at work on Deadpool 4. Ryan Reynolds previously said, "Oh God, no," when asked if he was planning on Deadpool 4, but he's reportedly back in the saddle developing a new entry for the franchise. The report comes courtesy of Puck, citing unnamed sources with the knowledge of the project, even though Reynolds made no bones about his hesitation to dive right into the next movie after 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine, otherwise known as Ketchup and Mustard, saying he had plans to spend more time with his family. It's not entirely surprising that he's more than ready to go back to that as well. "Oh God, no, my wife and children will divorce me," Ryan Reynolds previously joked. "I have no prenup with any of them. I would be capital B broke and in turn probably then doing Deadpool 4 because I need the money." Fair. In a separate interview, Reynolds said there's a reason for the 6-year gap between Deadpool 2 and Ketchup and Mustard, a time frame typically partially caused by Marvel Studios absorbing 20th Century Fox, who released the first 2 films in the series. There's also a non-zero chance that Deadpool could show up in Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, or both. The full cast of Doomsday hasn't been revealed, though it's already sprawling with characters from across the MCU. Secret Wars could be even bigger, with even more room to potentially bring one of Marvel's most popular heroes into the reality-spanning crossover movie. While we wait to hear more about whether Deadpool 4 is moving forward, you can stay up to date on all the upcoming Marvel movies and shows that are in the works. Which is pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I mean, what do you guys think? Me personally, I think what made Ketchup and Mustard as good as it was the fact that you had the goofiness of Deadpool and you had the seriousness of Wolverine, but then the two mixed, right? So all of a sudden, like, here's Deadpool and he's being really stupid and really goofy and everything, and he's kicking ass, and, you know, he might even be kicking Wolverine's ass in the Honda Odyssey, right? And Wolverine's going to town, but he's doing it really seriously and everything like that and so on. But the ridiculousness of them kicking the shit out of each other in a Honda Odyssey is hilarious, right? Or now here's a character who's deeply flawed. He's supposed to be the one that fucked everything up in his timeline, i.e. Wolverine, right? And then right before shit really starts to hit the fan, he pulls out his claws and he's just like, "Let's fucking go." And it's just off to the races because Wolverine said so. You know what I mean? That's great. That's awesome. I kind of like the ending of Deadpool 3 as an end, if that makes any sense. So unsure about a 4. I'm kind of unsure about a 4 too, because it's like, where do you go? Right? Me personally, I think, how do you get any better? How do you get any better than Deadpool and Wolverine teaming up like they did? You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's just me, but how do you get any better? Deadpool 1 was nice. Deadpool 2 was great. 3 was okay. See, I didn't see it that way. I saw Deadpool 2 as actually kind of boring, with the exception of, what's his name? The guy that everybody loves. I can't remember his name, but you know the one I'm talking about. But yeah, I thought Deadpool 2 was boring. I did. I really found it boring. I couldn't be bothered with Cable whatsoever. Couldn't be bothered with Cable. Deadpool 1 at least had the novelty of being the first Deadpool movie, and it was the first of its kind where, you know, he could literally just sit there and be an asshole and, like, talk all this shit and break the fourth wall and stare at the fucking camera the entire time and do all this other stuff. Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, or yeah, Wolverine and Deadpool, whatever one it's called, right? But ketchup and mustard, right? That was fantastic because it took the seriousness that it needed to have from X-Men, and it took the goofiness that it needed to have from the Deadpool movies, and it melded the two, and holy shit. And then they brought everybody back. They brought everyone back, which was phenomenal. I thought that was great. I dislike that none of his buddies appeared in the third film. Yes, they did. They didn't sit there and, like, fight, but they did. They appeared. 100% they did. His ex-girlfriend showed up in both timelines. She showed up in both timelines, right? I can't remember the dude's name, but the one who's made of metal, the X-Man, he showed up at the party, right? The guy that he works with at the car place is quite literally the guy, the only survivor of X-Force other than Deadpool. Peter, yes. Yeah, Peter, the random normal guy. Yeah, Peter shows up in there multiple times in the fucking movie, right? Blind Grandma shows up and they have jokes about cocaine. And she even tells Deadpool and Wolverine at the end of the movie to shut the fuck up. Peter saves their ass, right? You have, like, all of these things that you even still have the joke of the lesbian couple, right? I can't remember the two that are there, but he, like, Deadpool absolutely fucking loves the Asian one, and he's always really, really nice to her, but then turns around, like, he doesn't even move 2.5 inches. He just turns his head slightly, and he's just, I'm Captain Asshole to the other one. That joke never gets old. They were in there. They were absolutely in the movie. They were definitely there. The only one that didn't show back up is the bartender, but that's because he got accused of doing some not so nice things sexually to more than a few people. Here they just appear in the beginning to say hi and end to say goodbye. Yeah, but I mean, so what? Like, that's the thing. You can't... The problem is what are they supposed to do? Right? They didn't show Wolverine with the metal guy, and they didn't show Wolverine with the other girl who's supposed to be part of X-Men. They never showed the three of them together in any of the Deadpool or X-Men movies, right? To the point where they actually had to sit there and talk about it, and specifically said that those two were not part of the A-Team. They just weren't. Hell, most of the time they were just kind of students still, right? And Logan/Wolverine is a fucking legend, so there's no reason why they would have anything to do with him. Zero reason. Especially one that died in their timeline. And especially one that would be from another timeline that fucked his timeline. There'd be no reason for them to team up. You see what I mean? But Peter was in there. Peter was absolutely in there. Peter was there when he was doing the car stuff. Peter was there when he and Wolverine got out of that specific area with Xavier's daughter, right? And then he said, "Don't worry." He goes, "I'll make sure management knows when Deadpool tells him, 'Hey, I quit.'" All that shit. right? Like, Peter's in there a lot. Peter literally becomes, like, you may not see Peter a whole hell of a lot, but everybody knows and loves Peter, and that was the joke. Is that somehow every universe has a Peter, and Peter is the main character in Deadpool's story. That was the entire joke. Where he goes, it's weird how I only see you two. Yeah. Peter's awesome. Sure. Why not? Play. Yes. Campaign. Oh, shit. Okay, wait a minute. Wait, hang on. The standard Pacific Drive experience. Player cannot die. Same gameplay intention as Pacific Drive, but gathering, crafting, and research requirements are all lower. Damage and failure penalties are minimal. Every map will be filled with low-dose radiation that is harmful to the player. Storms are faster and stronger. Hazards and damage are more plentiful. A challenging drive and susceptible car will provide a test of your forethought, problem-solving, and automobile experience. I'm just gonna go with regular. In 1947, the Olympic Peninsula became the staging ground for a promising new technology. As rumors of its utopian creation spread, so did stories about the overnight evacuations, unsolved disappearances, and unnatural encounters. In 1955, the government walled off a section of the peninsula to establish the Olympic Exclusion Zone. For 30 years, the zone's borders grew until the government withdrew and sealed every access point. So that'd make it 1985. What happened inside was never disclosed. Okay, wait a minute. Settings. I gotta turn down the music a little bit here. Music. Put it down to 50. Okay. Yeah, this is way too loud. Let me do main volume. Master volume... Let's try 60, and then I'll bump this up to 80 and see what happens. That's better. Again... Oh, they're going the Pink Floyd route, huh? It's only because Deadpool 3 is basically cameos and references the movie. I liked many and disliked some aspects of the movie, that's it. No, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, what has Deadpool always been about? Right? Deadpool has always been something that was supposed to be fourth wall breaking and character references and bringing people in. The problem is Deadpool 1 and 2 didn't have enough money to do it. And for a while, they joked, right, about bringing in Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but up until right before they were going to pitch the movie, Hugh Jackman didn't want to do anything with it. He was like, nah, I'm done, whatever. They've been wanting Hugh Jackman in there for forever. Okay, toggle wipers. What happens if I don't? Okay, I like the water effects. Can I turn on my lights? Nope. Ah, Z, okay. Oh, don't do that in the tunnel. Hey, listen, I'm using keyboard, okay? It's not easy to drive with a keyboard. True, what's going on? Wonder how Doomsday is going to perform. If it tanks, it would be a catastrophe for Disney. It looks like they're going all in for it. They don't have a choice. They have to. Okay, a little weird. Oh. Uh-oh. Is that my wheel? Oh no. I think that's my car. That's not good. Yep, I think my car is fucked. I think the main problem is a shit deal we got dealt where they built up a whole thing for a whole different villain, and now they're throwing Doom at us out of nowhere. That's going to be the hard part to work around. Yeah, I think that's definitely a big problem, for sure. I think that's a big problem, absolutely. Kick, okay.
Hello? Someone out there?
Yes.
Hello? What a swan. Never mind. Francis, the radar's acting up again. You were supposed to tune up this piece of junk years ago.
Get in the car. Oh. Okay. Who the hell was just talking? Start the engine. That's wipers. Turn on. There we go.
Wait a second. Oh, the signal. Yes, it's back. It's back. This is Tobias Barlow and Francis Cook, located in mid-zone Sector B. Do you read me? I'm picking up your distress signal in the outer zone. It looks like you're somewhere around Sector E. Hey, Francis, come here. Yes, it's urgent. Leave that interferometer alone for a second. Something is out there.
Headlights.
Hey, we got a live one. Hey, do you copy? Hello? Hello? Is this thing working?
They don't have a transmitter. We won't hear a thing back.
Huh. But if they're stranded, could they, I mean, they're from outside? They're a preacher? Hey, how did you get through the barrier wall? No one's gotten into the zone in ages and lived to tell about it.
And if we don't get them to safety, this one won't either.
Fuck.
That's a good point. Hey, you're in serious danger. The instability's closing in, and it's gonna scramble you quicker than beef in a blender. Your closest shelter is a few miles east. Get there however you can, and be quick about it.
Oh, search trunk for a fuel can. Okay. No, no, no! Car! What are you doing? No! Stop! Please! Stop! I didn't... Shit! Fuck! Wait! Car! No! Park! Fuck! Okay. Am I missing a... Ah, fucking penis. Alright. I need to get a new tire. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna... We're getting in. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Put it in drive. Turn on. Put it in drive. And we're going. It's... Don't worry about it. I can drive on a flat.
Whoa, wait, hold the phone. There it is again, that blip on the spectrometer. I've seen that waveform before, but where? Oh, kidding. Could it be? A remnant?
That can't be. There hasn't been one in decades.
Look at that spectral fingerprint and tell me that doesn't match the remnants exactly.
No. What we should be looking at is how fast this creature seems to be moving.
Huh. You know, if I didn't know better, I'd say they're going about the speed of a... No way, do not tell me. They found a remnant and it's a car this time? Holy Christ! No one's hand-working wheels in here for ages. Boy, I'd kill to know how a combustion engine's still chugging away out there.
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, the breacher needs to get to safety. Then it will see whether that car is a remnant or not. In my heart of hearts, I already know.
They're back, baby.
Okay, this thing is on my ass. This is bad. That's west. I need to go east. Fuck. There we go. It just took its sweet time. Okay. Okay, we're fine. Okay, apparently I missed it. Oh, God. That tire's really starting to sound shit. Put in park. Exit car. Find a way into the building. I don't even have a wheel on that one. Okay, well, that's a problem. Oh boy. Open. Turn the power on. Pick up the backpack from the table.
Who's there? The shop has been breached. You've got 5 seconds to get the hell out before I... Ow! My head. It's an emergency broadcast.
Hello, attention. This message is for Dr. Ophelia Turner. We sent a breacher to your garage on official zone business. Now, we have it on very good authority that this person is in possession of a remnant, which has taken the form of a car, and, well,
Get off the remnant thing. She's not gonna care.
right, like I said, super official zone business. Protocol, demands that you keep them alive until we can get them to safety. Now, if you do not comply, I will occupy this broadcast channel with a recitation of the entire collection of poems I've personally written. That's 10 years and 17 volumes, and...
Cover that voice, cuts like a nail gun to the skull. So, another breacher, huh? How do you outsiders not understand that Arda didn't build that 300
Where's the map?
out there for fun? Unless you're one of the unfortunates who got zapped through. Wait, I just remembered. I don't give a damn why or how you got here. You're trespassing, and I'd kindly like you to get the hell out of my zone. Unfortunately, the barrier wall is as fortified against breachers trying to get in as it is against anyone or anything trying to leave. We have to find you a way out.
So you might as well start by fixing up that car. Just don't break anything in my shop with those soft hands of yours.
Put the wheel back on. Oh shit. I gotta go grab the wheel. Who do you think is the most iconic villain? Yeah, I'd say it would probably have to be Darth Vader. Okay. Okay. Logbook. What do we have? Car abilities? Certain components and equipment that you will install on your car have abilities that need to be activated. Okay. You can assign controls to up to 4 of these using the small panel on the left side of your dashboard. I don't have that yet. Yeah, Darth Vader definitely stands out for sure. You can steer, brake, reverse, shift between park or drive, and of course, turn the ignition key. You can also toggle the radio, headlights, and windshield wipers. Should all else fail, honk the horn. You can remap these controls and change camera settings in the options menu. Okay, fair enough. I need to make a door, though. Summer tire. Oh, my sweet summer tire. Oh, God. How little you know about the rigors of the road ahead. That's fair. It's like saying someone is green. Yeah, someone's new. Someone doesn't have any experience. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's like calling someone a greenhorn. I think in the last 10 years or so, it's Thanos. No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because look at all the movies, all the Star Wars stuff that's come out that alluded to Darth Vader. I kind of get it, but at the same time, I think it's a weird kind of insult to use. Here is where the English language fails a lot of people, right? And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but think of it this way. If you are, let's say that you sign on to a crab fishing boat, right? You've never been crab fishing before. You're a greenhorn. That's what you're called. You are called a greenhorn. Why? Because you don't have the experience. You don't know anything. So you're relegated to probably some of the shittiest jobs on the ship, because in order to get any further than a greenhorn, to be saying, being like a deckhand, you have to know how to do some of the shittiest jobs on the boat first. Right? So you get the least amount of pay, you work the shittiest jobs, chances are you're being yelled at by everybody. And why? Because you're a fucking greenhorn. You don't know shit. That's why. And at any point, the captain can literally turn around and go, "You're fired. Get off my fucking boat." It's the same kind of thing. They're not saying it as to go, "Oh, you're a greenhorn," or "Oh, you got soft hand." Like, I literally have never met anybody that says, "Yeah, well, you got soft hands," like a direct insult. It's within the context of going, you are completely out of your element and have no idea. Would you put Palpatine above Thanos? Yes, absolutely. In terms of iconography, 100%. Yeah. The pneuma tubes, also known as tubes, span the zone, a low-tech, low-maintenance method of communication and delivery. They've endured in a place where so many advanced alternatives have not. English is a very weird language, but that's because it takes from every language. That's why English is so complicated for so hard for so many people. Right? You can have somebody who speaks only German, and then they learn English, and it's insanely difficult. But a lot of the time, it's insanely difficult for people who speak English to learn how to speak German. Why? Because German is very, very, very strict on how their language works. It's very strict. There are a lot of rules for German, and it's very strict on how all those rules work. And there's only a couple of exceptions to most of their rules, just in as a whole. English turns around and breaks their rules 99% of the time. So they give you a bunch of rules that you have to follow, and then they give you a word like, and I'm not trying to start the meme up again, but then they give you a word like judgment, which you can spell Judgment or Judge, excuse me, Judgement. And guess what? They're both right. Or you could take the word color, Color. It's also Colour. And guess what? They're both right. It's true. Both versions are right. They're both correct. Or the wind is strong and wind the clock. Yeah. Yeah. So which pronunciation is correct? They're both two different words, by the way. Right? You've got wind, which is the air blowing, and then you've got wind, as in to wind, as in to, crank something back. That is usually like spring-loaded or something to that extent. Right? If you're winding something up, typically it could be a pocket watch, could be, you're winding the clock back, right, on say like a grandfather clock. But then you have the wind. Wow, the wind feels really, really good on this hot summer day. But they're both spelled the same. That's why English is so difficult. Mm-hmm. I saw her duck. Did she duck or does she have a duck? Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's very contextual as to what is happening versus there are certain things that are automatically implied. If you're just looking at it at most other languages, there are certain things that are automatically implied when it comes to how things are said. Right? Or, here's another one. Animaniacs used to bring this stuff up all the time, right? There's playing football with your grandfather. Then there's playing football with your grandfather. Advanced spatial recognition and pattern communicating light array may be the most advanced invention ever found in the garage. Or it may just be the weight sensor, who's to know. Heavy-duty anchor capable of supporting your favorite decorative treasures, signs, posters, displays, and more. Okay. Flimsy piece of oxidized metal will both open and close. We'll also keep... Okay. Enhanced version of the ARC device is able to administer rudimentary pain relief and first aid to the occupant of the driver's seat. However, the energy this requires will put a substantial drain on the battery. You still remain unsure if this device is a work of genius, is extremely illegal, or stolen tech, or some combination of both. Fair. With one swift tug of a lever, you can lock up the car's rear wheels and convert some of your momentum into a skid. You may even impress any anomalies that are watching. That's true. Everybody knows that an e-brake is the best way to impress women. I bet you Lance would agree with that, Aelin. Just saying. If you can do a nice drift or an e-brake turn, panties drop. In Britain, they call this area the boot of the car, but they didn't win with the War of Independence, did they? Now over 300 million Americans are free to call the back storage of their automobiles whatever they like. How's that for humor? True. Ah, wait a minute. Mechanic's Eye. Oppies? I don't know, custom-built headset. Using it to scan objects will provide you with more information about the zone. Its Mechanic's Eye diagnostic tool will tell you everything you need to know about your car's status. Nice. Did you think Deadpool and Wolverine was a better movie than Fantastic Four? Yes. Yes, absolutely. And the reason I say that is because there was nothing wrong that Fantastic Four did, but there was nothing great that Fantastic Four did either. So, like, Deadpool and Wolverine, you can easily have parts that say you don't necessarily care for, or things they did, or things that, like, you wish they had done better, but that's always followed by fucking hilarious and fantastic things. Whereas Fantastic Four, it's alright. There's nothing offensive in it. There's nothing terrible about it. I personally would have chosen somebody else for, you know, what's her name? Who goes invisible. But that's just me, because I don't think she has any emotion other than looking like she has to crap. But, I mean, in all honesty, like, it's alright. Yeah, Susan, thank you. It's alright. But it was an enclosed thing, right? It's not, they go, oh yeah, it's Earth, whatever the fuck, right? To tell you that it's not even in the golden timeline or whatever the fuck they're calling it, right? So at the very least, they've already covered their ass, because if the movie bombs, they don't ever have to bring that timeline back, right? So it has nothing to do with anybody else. It has nothing to do with any of the other characters, nothing to do with the golden timeline whatsoever. It's all compartmentalized. That way, if it fails as a movie, they never have to touch it again. The story wasn't terrible. It was interesting. But it was just okay. Was it a good watch? Yes. Would I be insulted if somebody turned it on? No. I wouldn't. Not even remotely close. Would I sit down and watch it again? If it was on TV in passing, sure, why not? Fuck it. Right? Absolutely. I can watch a hell of a lot worse things. Will I go out of my way to watch it again? Absolutely not. That's how I feel about it. The auto shop is your base of operations. You're safe there, so you can take your time between drives and fix up the car, craft parts, and research new upgrades. While on foot, you can walk, run, crouch, and jump. You can also pick up, drop, throw, and kick items and certain objects you come across. Should you come across any buttons and keypads, feel free to press away. Okay. You can remap these controls in the options menu. Okay. Great. So what am I still... Okay. Where you fluency be? Yeah, we'll both open and close. Yes. So I need scrap metal, plastic, duct tape, and glass shards. Okay. Pin to checklist. Okay. Oh, search the toolbox by the garage door for a pry bar. Okay. Right. Duct tape. Okay. Open inventory. Equip. It was a foundational movie to build to the story and drive in the end to a means, so they shifted to the one we want and watch. Deadpool is pre-established, so we have expectation to be met. Mainly action scenes, hilarity. So you could argue they're trying to do two different things. The only thing about Fantastic Four is the payoff is going to be with the Doom movie. To an extent, sure. Yeah, and I can see what you mean by that, and I agree with you. Deadpool constantly has to bring it. Again, with what Bloop said, the new Fantastic Four movie is a foundational thing. And worst case scenario, they've already set themselves up so if for whatever reason the movie bombs, they don't have to keep going ahead with that Fantastic Four, right? They could bring in another one, who cares? So, you have expectations with one movie or set of movies versus another one where you're reintroducing characters in a different way to the universe that you're trying to make. I think that's fair. Oh, God. Okay, wait a minute. I know what I gotta do. Give me a second. No, not quit to menu. Oops. Settings. Video motion blur off. Entirely. Oh, so much better. Okay. What do they want now? Perfectly usable chunk of this brittle but hard-wearing substance. Glass has a dozen potential applications from windows to optics. One of the most suitable and ubiquitous substances ever created. This handful of polymers has 1,000 different applications and will likely outlive us all. An assortment of irregular and damaged sections of steel, all of which could easily be recycled and reused. The adhesive properties of this industrial strength product are not to be underestimated. It both attaches items and removes skin with terrifying tenacity. That is true. Cheap, equipable light source, useful in a pinch, but this powerful potassium-based incendiary burns bright and burns brief, even in the wettest of conditions. Fair. Wow, all you want? What do you mean, true? Excuse me. Oh, no worries. Improvised bandage, so you patch yourself up at the auto shop. Okay. In Discord. Oh, gotcha. Oh, speaking of which, when you post in your Space Marine stuff, that was weird. Also working on another from scratch. I was sick of it. Yeah. You don't have to wait, by the way. You can just, when you're done, you can absolutely just fucking go to town and just post them. Wheels, panels, and doors. Equip. Yes, there we go. Oh, fuck. Yay! I like the friendly dumpster. Nice. No, I didn't beat my car up. My car came pre-fucked. In all honesty. Balls. No, back to the dumpster. Hello, friendly dumpster. Yay! I like the friendly dumpster. But I tried. Oh, okay. Maybe you just needed to burp first, I don't know. Ooh. Hang on. Siphon the gas out. Nice. Check the ground and trunk for remaining materials. Gather items from the abandoned car behind the garage. Oh, shit. Oh, okay, wow. This is kind of cool. Nice. Oh. Computer. Okay. Craft a crude door. Crude door. Craft. Okay. I kind of feel like I need this. Get the repair putty from the locker? Ooh, spare tire. Really nice. Oh. No, what do they want me to do? Oh, equip the repair putty. To repair the car. Okay. Huh. Okay, that's actually pretty sweet. Nice. Okay. Okay, we're at 90. Nice. Scan the flat tire. So this is okay. So then let's do this on 3. Oh shit, okay. It's a one-time use deal. Interesting. Repair the flat by crafting and using a sealing kit. Replace the flat with a spare tire found in the locker. Well, I'd repair this first, right? Not seeing a sealing kit, though. Not seeing a sealing kit. Huh. This, by the way, we'll probably do today and tomorrow. Because Thursday, Cairn comes out. And I am so pumped for that game. Cairn. Cairn. That's the mountain climbing one, the one that I did the demo with. Where, Sober was a nervous wreck the entire time and Aylin felt like she was gonna puke. Where do I not be able to watch because it might make me scared? Nah, you'll be fine. The photos do look very good. Be here on Thursday, man. Seriously, you're gonna... It's insane. Because it's not as simple as, oh, I'm just gonna hit the up button and climb. You have to put each limb where it needs to be in order to climb. And depending on where you put it, you put that limb under different strain. So if you have this really, really tiny, like, ledge that maybe only your toe can fit on, now you're putting all the pressure of your body weight on that toe, and you got to find another place to move fast to take the pressure off of that one toe that you're hanging on by so that you don't slip and fall. And you have to do this all the way up an entire mountain. And there's going to be snow, and there's going to be all kinds of weather and everything like that. You know, I wonder. I don't know if I'd get it fast enough, though. I was gonna say maybe I could get a thermos, right? Maybe I'd get a thermos, like another thermos, and I'd get myself another thermos, and then I'd make some really nice hot soup. And maybe I get, or like get two thermoses and make one that's just got really nice hot soup in it, and then another one with really nice hot coffee in it, right? And just sit there and fucking go to town on Cairn. I don't know if I can. It depends on how excuse me. How available thermoses are. Like, I could probably get one or two off Amazon. That wouldn't be an issue, but would they show up in time? I don't know. And those would be the cheapest place to get them, because if I went to, like, Walmart or something, it'd be like $30 for one. If you got Prime, chances are maybe. Yeah, but I'd have to order it, like, right now. That's the difference. Here, hang on. Let me see. Let me see really quick. How much would a thermos cost on Amazon? Thermos. Yes. The Stanley Heritage Classic Vacuum Thermos Bottle with handle, 2 quarts. Wide mouth with leak-proof cup lid. Wow. My dad used to have one of those. I want one of those so bad. Do you want to know how much it costs? $50. Well, here, I'll show you, because I'm not... let me just make sure... Yeah, I'm not showing you anything anyway, so not a big deal. So, you have all this stuff, right? So, like, you have the actual brand name Thermos, right? Which are fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but you want a heavy-duty motherfucker? Boom. That's a sturdy motherfucker. This thing is made out of steel, right? And it's a vacuum thermos. No bullshit. Like, this is a whole vacuum thing. It's really, really, really good. Stanley ain't cheap, sadly. Like, even the classic legendary vacuum bottle is $45. Oh, you easily could. They're heavy duty. They're very heavy duty. Whereas, like, and there's nothing wrong with something like this, and there's nothing wrong with, like, these or anything, but these are made out of, like, plastic a lot of the time, or they're made out of, like, aluminum, whereas this is made out of steel. This would hurt. But it lasts literally forever. Stanley is definitely the way to go. Thermos isn't bad, but yeah. Stanley's definitely the way to go, for sure. My mom dented a truck from the 70s made of steel with one by accident once. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're no joke. Yeah, see, you want something like this bad boy. This is the bad boy. Hell yeah, you're playing one of my faves? I is. There's Aylin. Where'd you go? Where were you? Did you fall asleep? The spare tire found in the locker. Oh, so I gotta grab the spare tire. Okay. Ooh, that's big. Put you in there. Put you here. Okay. Yeah, just drop that one for now. There. Oh, really? More lag? God damn it. We'll give it a minute. No, it's not your end. It's fucking Twitch again. God damn it. Hang on. Yeah, it's Twitch again.